Welcome everyone to the solving of Edexcel IGCSE Further Pure Mathematics October 2024 paper. We will be going through each of the questions with concise explanations to help you understand each and every single question as smoothly as possible. So bear with me and let's get started. So this is the first question. So on the grid, we need to draw the line with equation this and this. Let's first work with the first equation. So this is 3x plus 4y. We just need to find out two coordinates and we can just join the lines in order to draw the graph. So in order to find out the two coordinates, first of all, we can assume that at y-axis the value of x is 0. So that's 0 plus 4y equals 24. So the value of y is 6. Because we know that at y-axis the value of x is always 0. So this is the point where one of the coordinates will lie. And in order to find out the other point, we know that at x-axis the value of y is 0. So we can say that 3x plus 4y plus 4 times 0, which is 0, is equals to 24. So the value of x is 8. So this is one of the coordinates. Now we can just join these 2 points. And we also need to extrapolate the line. So the graph will look something like this. And do not forget to label this line. This line has the equation 3x plus 4y equals 24. All right. Now let's move on to the next equation. So the same thing goes for this one. At y-axis, the value of x is 0. So that's minus 5y plus 10 equals 0. So the value of y is 2. So this is one of the coordinates. And we know that at x-axis, the value of y is 0. So this will be 2x plus 10 equals 0. And the value of x is negative 5. So this is the other coordinate. Now we just need to join these two lines. And then we need to extend this. And again, do not forget to label this line. So this will be 2x plus 5y plus 10 equals 0. Oh, 2x minus 5y. Sorry. All right. So that is it for the first part of the question. Now in the second part, we need to show by shading on the grid the region R, which is defined by the inequalities this, and this. So we have drawn the first two lines, and this would be the line y equals 5, and this is x equals negative 1. So let's draw these two lines. So y equals 5 will look something like this. So this is y equals 5. And the other one is x equals negative 1. So you also need to label this x equals negative 1. Now the region they're talking about is that the region is below this line, because a less than sign means that it is below the line. So this part will be ignored. and then the region is above this line because there's a greater than sign. So this part will be ignored. And the region is to the left hand side, is below this line because there's a less than sign. So this part will be ignored. And the region is to the right hand side of this line because there's a greater than sign. So we can say that this part will be ignored. So the only region which follows all of these inequalities is this one. So this is the region R. And that is it for this question. Okay, so there was a slight mistake during this question, is that in order to find out the region, the coefficient of y must be positive. As you can see that there is a negative coefficient, so you need to make 5y the subject. So you will get 5y is less than or equal to 2x plus 10. So which means that the region is below this line. So this part will be omitted. And y is less than or equal to 5. So this part will also be omitted, including this one. And this part will also be omitted because x is greater than or equal to -1. And this part is omitted. So the only region which follows all of the inequalities is this region. So this is our required region. And that is the answer to your first question. Now moving on to the second question. The sum of the fifth, sixth, and seventh terms of an arithmetic series is 9 times the sum of the first and second terms of it. So the sum of the fifth, sixth, and seventh term. The fifth term will look something like this: a plus 4d using the nth term formula. And the sixth term will look like this: a plus 5d. And the seventh term will look like this. This is equals to 9 times the sum of the first and second terms. So 9 times the sum of the first and second term. So let's simplify this equation. So this will be 3a plus 15d is equals to 18a plus 9d. So if we simplify this further, we will get 15a equals 6d. Then we can simplify this more. We can divide this whole equation by 3. So we will get 5a equals 2d. So this is our first equation. Now in order to find out the second equation, the third term of a is 12. So we can say that a plus 2d is equals to 12. So this is our second equation. Now we need to find the first term and the common difference, basically the value of a and the value of d. Now as you can see that the value of 2d can be replaced by 5a. So we can replace this 2d with 5a. So from this we can find out the value of a, which is 2. And we can substitute this value into this equation to find out the value of d. So the value of d is basically 5 over 2 times a, which is equals to 5. So that is it for the first part of the question. Now let's move on to the second part. The nth term of a is un. Find the value of this function. Now basically what this value represents, the first term of the series, which is t1. So we can say that t1 is equals to u15, and u15 is basically a plus 14d, since un is the nth term of series a, this series. And we know the value of a, which is 2, and we also know the value of d, which is 5. So the value of the first term of this series will be 72. And we need to sum it up to the 60th term. This is the last term. So we can say that the last term is u60. That is 2 plus 14 times 60, which is equals to 842. Now there is another formula for summation. The formula was n divided by 2 a plus l, where l is the last term. So first of all, we need to calculate the value of n. In order to calculate the value of n, what we can do is that subtract 15 from 60. So we will get 45. Now 45, basically this value represents the number of terms from the 15th term up to the 60th term, excluding the 15th term. So since the 15th term is excluded, we just need to add 1 to it. So we get 46. So this is the value of n. So the value of n is 46 and the value of a is 72. So that's 72. And the value of L is 842, I guess. Yep, it's 842. Okay, so there was a slight mistake. The 60th term would be equals to a plus 59d. So the value of a is 2 and the value of d is 5. So this will give us a value of 297. So this will be actually 297. So the answer is 8487. So that is the answer to part B. Now let's move on to part C. The sum to n terms of a's is n, given that, so they have given us an equation. So let's write down this equation. So the equation says 2 of Sn minus 5 of Un is equals to 10. I guess we just need to find out the value of n. Yep, we need to find out the value of n. So we know that the formula for Sn is n divided by 2. 2a, the value of a is 2, plus n minus 1d, the value of d is 5, minus 5 un, the value of un is a plus n minus 1 d. D is 5 and the value of a is 2. So this is equals to 10. Now these two cancels each other out. So we are left with n times 5n, and minus 5 plus 4 is equals to negative 1. Minus 5, 5n, and 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So this will be equals to 5n squared minus n minus 25n plus 15 equals 10. So this is 5n squared minus 26n, and 15 minus 10 is basically 5, equals 0. Now we just need to solve this quadratic equation using this formula. 26 plus or minus root over 26 squared minus 4ac, which is 25, divided by 2a, which is 10. So from this, I think we will get two values of n. So one of the values of n is 5, and the other one is 1 divided by 5. But we know that n cannot be 1 over 5 since n is a positive integer. So that is it for this question. Now moving on to the next question. There is a triangle ABC such that AC is equals to 10 centimeters, BC is 7, and angle CAB is 25. So let's draw a triangle. Let's assume that we can just draw an imaginary triangle. So this will be A, B, and C. Now AC is 10 centimeters and BC is 7 centimeters and CAB is 25 degrees. Now given that angle ABC is obtuse, now we will use this information in the later part. Let's assume that this is theta, which is the angle ABC. So let's find out this angle first. We need to calculate the length of AB. So let's calculate this angle. So this will be sine theta divided by 10 is equals to sine 25 divided by 7. Now if I make theta the subject, I will get 37.138 degrees. But as you guys know that angle ABC, which is theta, theta is an obtuse angle. So in order to find out the obtuse angle from an acute angle, we need to subtract this angle from 180 degrees. So we will get 142.86 degrees. So this is the actual value of theta. Alright. So this is 142.86 degrees. Now we can calculate this angle using the angle sum of triangle, that is 180 degrees minus 25 minus 142.86, which is 12.14 degrees. Now we can easily calculate the length of AB using the sine rule. So we can say that the sine 12.14 divided by the opposite length, which is AB, or we can just write it like this: AB divided by sine of opposite angle, which is 12.14, is equals to, let's say we take this side, 7 divided by the sine of opposite angle, which is sine 25. So from this equation we can calculate the length of AB. So the length of AB to one decimal place is around 3.5 centimeters. So that is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the next question. We are given a prism, a right angle triangle prism, and we have some information regarding the prism is that the length and the angles are given. This is 20 centimeters. So EF equals DA equals CB. EF equals DA equals CB. And DE is equals to DF. So these two lengths are equals AF. Now we need to calculate the size of the angle between the line FD and the plane DCBA. So FD and DCBA. So we can draw an imaginary triangle, a right angled imaginary triangle from this. And we actually need to calculate this angle theta. So in order to find out the value of theta, we need two of the length of the triangle. Any two lengths will work. So first of all, we can calculate the length FD, because as you can see that this forms a right angle triangle, which is this is F and this will be D and this is E. This is 20 centimeters and this is 15, and we can calculate the length of FD using the Pythagoras' theorem. So this will be 25 centimeters. So this is 25 centimeters. Now let's see if we can calculate another length, which is FB, this one. We can say that the FB length is equals to the EC length, since this is a rectangle. And we can calculate the length of EC very easily, because as you can see that this is a right angle triangle and we have one of the length and the angle. So we can say that sine 40 degrees is equals to opposite divided by hypotenuse. So if we make EC the subject, we will get 9.64 centimeters. So the length of this will be 9.64. Now let's bring out this triangle. This is the triangle F, B, and D. And we need to calculate this angle. So we know the length of F and D, which is 25 centimeters, and this is 9.64. So we can say that sine theta is equals to opposite, which is 9.64 divided by hypotenuse, which is 25. So if we make theta the subject, we will get the value of the required angle. So the answer is 22.7 degrees. So that is it for this question. Moving on to the next question, we have a particle P which is moving along a straight line at time t seconds where t is greater than or equal to 0. The velocity v meters per second of P is given by this equation. Now in the first question, we need to find the values of t when P is instantaneously at rest. So we know that at rest, the velocity is 0. So we just need to solve this equation to find out the values of t. So this is 3t squared minus 16t plus 5 equals 0. So if we solve this using the quadratic formula, this will be 16 plus or minus 16 squared minus 4ac, which is 15, worked over divided by 2a, which is 6. So from this equation, we can find out two values for t. So one of the values of t will be 5, and the other value is 1 over 3. So that is it for this part. Now moving on to the next part. At time t seconds, the acceleration of p is a meters per second squared. Now we know that if we differentiate the equation for the velocity, we will get the acceleration. So first of all, let's differentiate this. We know that a is equals to dv over dt. And dv over dt will give us 6t minus 16. Now we need to find the range of values of t for which the acceleration is greater than 0. So we just need to solve this inequality. Acceleration is greater than 0. So 6t minus 16 is greater than 0. So the value of t is greater than 8 divided by 3. So that is the answer to this part. Now moving on to the next part, we need to find the distance in meters that p travels in the interval from t equals 1 to t equals 4. So we can easily calculate this using, if we integrate the equation of the velocity, we will get the displacement or the distance equation. And we need to find the distance moved by the particle during this interval. So there will be a limit. This will be a definite integral. Lower limit will be 1, upper limit will be 4. And we're integrating the velocities equation. So the equation of the velocity is 3t squared minus 16t plus 5. So it's 3t squared minus 16t plus 5. If we integrate this, this will give us 3t cubed divided by 3 minus 16t squared divided by 2 plus 5t. And we do not need to write a plus c at the very end because this is a definite integral. So let's simplify this. So this will be t cubed and minus 8t squared plus 5t. So first of all, we need to substitute the upper limit into this equation. So this will be 4 cubed minus 8 times 4 squared plus 5 times 4 minus the lower limit. The lower limit is 1. So this is 1 minus 8 plus 5. So this gives us a value of negative 42 meters. Now, this is the value of the displacement. We need the distance. We know that since distance is a scalar quantity, it cannot be a negative value. So what we need to do is that at the very end, we have to write distance is equals to 42 meters. So that is the answer to this question. Moving on to the next question, we need to show that this can be written like this. So first of all, we can write this as a divided by 4 plus bx to the powered half. And if we bring this denominator to the front, we will get a times 4 plus bx to the powered negative half. Now as you can see that in the given equation, instead of 4 there is 1, so we have to take 4 as common. So if we take 4 as common from this part, since there is a power, there will also be a power on the 4. So this will be 1 plus b divided by 4x to the powered minus half. And we know that 4 to the power negative half will be a divided by 2. So that's 1 plus b divided by 4x to the powered negative half. So that is it for the first part of the question. Now in the second part, the expansion of this can be written like this, where p, q, r, and s are rational numbers. Show that q is equals to this and s is equals to this. So let's first expand this using the binomial expansion formula. So a divided by 2, we need to expand this up to the power of x cubed. So we need to apply the formula 1 plus nx plus n times n minus 1 divided by 2 factorial times x squared. So 1 plus nx, the value of x is b divided by 4x, plus n, the value of n is negative 0.5 times negative 0.5 minus 1 divided by 2 factorial times x squared. That is b squared divided by 16 x squared, plus n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 divided by 3 factorial x cubed. So this will be b cubed divided by 4 cubed, which is 64, times x cubed. And we can't expand up to this part because we need the expansion up to x cubed. So let's simplify this. So that's 1 minus b divided by 8x and plus 3 divided by 128, 3 divided by 128, b squared and x squared, and minus 5 divided by 1024, b cubed and x cubed. And then we need to multiply it with a over 2. So that's a divided by 2 minus ab divided by 16x plus 3a divided by, so that's 3ab squared divided by 256 x cubed, x squared minus 5ab cubed divided by 2048 x cubed. So this is the expansion. Now we have to say that we have to write down the value of q and the value of s. So we know that the value of q is basically the coefficient of x. So we can say that q is equals to negative ab divided by 16. And the value of s is the coefficient of x cubed. That is minus 5ab cubed divided by 2048. So that is the answer to part B. Now moving on to part C, they have given us the value of Q as 125 over 8 times S. Okay, so let's first work with this. Q is equals to 125 over 8 times S. No, 128, not 125. 128 by 5. And we know that the value of Q is negative AB divided by 16. So that's negative AB divided by 16. And the value of S is negative 5AB cubed divided by 2048. So negative 5AB cubed divided by 2048. So from this equation, we can clearly see that this A cancels each other out, and this B will cancel this B. This will become squared. And this minuses becomes plus. So this will be 1 divided by 16 equals, and this one cancels this out. And this will be 16. So the final answer is B squared divided by 16. So the value of B is 1. And B cannot be a negative number. The value of B there will be two values of B. B equals 1 and B equals negative 1, since there's a square on top of B. B cannot be a negative number because in the first part they have said that A and B are positive integers. Now let's move on to the second equation. R is equals to 9 divided by 256. So R is the coefficient of x squared. So R is equals to 9 divided by 256. So the value of R is 3ab squared divided by 256. So that's 3ab squared divided by 256. And the value of b is 1. So this becomes 1. So this cancels this out, and this becomes 3. So the value of a is 3. And that is it for this part. Now moving on to the next part, we need to use an appropriate value of x to find an approximate value for root over 6 divided by 2. Okay, root over 6 divided by 2. We know that let's first write down the expression. The expression was 8 divided by 2, that is 3 over 2, times 1 plus bx divided by 4. 1 plus the value of b is 1, so that's x divided by 4 to the power negative half. So this is the expression. So we need to substitute a value of x for which this whole thing becomes root over 6 divided by 2. Now you guys can do this in the calculator, but if you want, you can do this on a rough paper. So that equate this expression to root over 6 by 2 and just solve this for x. So this cancels out, and this is 1 divided by root over 1 plus x divided by 4 is equals to root over 6 by 3. So the value of 1 plus x divided by 4 is equals to 3 divided by root 6 whole squared. Now we just need to make x the subject. So the value of x is 2. We need to substitute this value of x into our expansion. So you need to write down that substituting x equals 2. So the expression was 3 divided by 2, 1 plus 2 divided by 4 to the powered minus half is equals to a divided by 2. The value of a was 3. So that's 3 divided by 2 and minus 3 divided by, oh wait, minus 1 divided by 8 times x. So minus ab divided by 16 times x. So minus 3 divided by 16 times 2 and plus 3ab squared divided by 256 times x squared. So plus 3ab squared divided by 256 times x squared. And minus 5ab cubed divided by 2048 times x cubed. So minus 5ab divided by 2048 times x cubed. So we know that this value will be equals to root over 6 divided by 2. Now we just need to calculate this part. And keep in mind that this is an approximation, not an exact value. So instead of the equal sign, you need to write the approximation sign because the series is infinite, but we are calculating up to the power of x cubed. So this is 1.207. So that is the answer to this question. Moving on to the next part. So figure 2 shows a shape A, B, C, D, E, O, and F and G. So ABCO is a quarter circle with radius r centimeters. So this is basically a sector of a circle which has an angle of 90 degrees or pi over 2. The total area of the shape is 100 centimeters squared. The perimeter of the shape is p centimeters. Show that p is equals to this. Now the problem with this equation is that there is no r in this equation. There is no x in this equation. So the first thing we need to do is that we need to write down an equation for x in terms of r. So in order to do that, we need to use this information. So we know that the area is 100. And in order to find out the area, and the thing is that these two rectangles are congruent, which means that they are identical rectangles. So one of the area of the rectangle will be x times r. Since there are two rectangles, we need to multiply this with 2. Plus, we need to find out the area of this sector. This sector has a radius of r. So the area would be half r squared times theta. Theta is pi over 2. This is equals to 100. Now we just need to make x the subject. So this will be 2xr is equals to 100 minus pi r squared divided by 4. Now if I make x the subject, this will be 50 divided by r minus pi r divided by 8. So this is an equation for x in terms of r. Now we can calculate the perimeter of this shape. So we can say that the perimeter will be this length, which is r, plus these two lengths, which is 2x, plus these two lengths, which is 2x, and this length, which is r, plus the arc length of this sector. The arc length would be equals to r theta. So if we simplify this equation, this will give us 2r plus 4x plus pi r divided by 2. And we can write x as 50 divided by r minus pi r divided by 8. So now let's simplify this. So it's 2r plus 200 divided by r minus pi r divided by 2 plus pi r divided by 2. These two cancels each other out, so we are left with 200 divided by r plus 2r. So that is the answer to the first part of the question. Now in the next part, we need to use calculus to find the value of r for which p is a minimum value, justifying that this value of let's come back to this later. Let's first find out the value of r for which p is a minimum. So we know that at maximum point or a minimum point, the value of dp divided by dr would be equals to 0. So first of all, we need to differentiate this. Differentiating this will give us negative 200 divided by r squared plus 2 equals 0. And we need to multiply this whole equation by r squared. So it will be negative 200 plus 2r squared equals 0. Now if we make r the subject, we will get root over 100, which is equals to 10 centimeters. So r is equals to 10. Now coming back to the previous part, we need to justify that this value of r gives a minimum value of p. So basically we need to prove that this is a minimum value. So in order to prove that, we need to differentiate this equation again. So now we need to find out d square p divided by dr squared. So this will be equals to 400 divided by r cubed. Now if we substitute this value of r into this equation, so that gives us 400 divided by 10 cubed. Which gives us a positive value. So now we need to end with a conclusion that since d squared p divided by dr squared is greater than 0, it's a minimum value. If d square p divided by dr square was less than 0, it will give us a maximum value. Alright. Now moving on to the next part, we need to find the minimum value of p. Basically, we need to substitute the value of r into this equation. So when the value of r is 10, the value of p is 200 divided by 10 plus 2 times 10, which is 40. So this is the minimum value of p. So that is it for this question. Moving on to the next question. We need to use a formula given on page 2 to show that tan 2a can be written like this. So first of all, we can write tan 2a as tan a plus a, which is equals to tan a plus tan a divided by 1 minus tan a multiplied by tan a, using the expansion formula. So this, if we simplify this, this will be 2 tan a divided by 1 minus tan squared a. So that is the answer to the first part of the question. Now moving on to the next part, we need to solve this equation and the domain is given in degrees. So the equation is tan a minus tan 2a. We can write it as 2 tan a divided by 1 minus tan squared a equals 0. Now we need to multiply this whole equation by 1 minus tan squared a. So it will give us tan a minus tan cubed a minus 2 tan a is equals to 0. And if we simplify this, if we bring this whole thing to the right hand side of the equation, this will be 0 equals tan cubed a plus tan a. And if we take tan a as common, we will get tan squared a plus 1 equals 0. So one of the solutions of tan a will be equals to 0, and the other solution is tan squared a equals -1. But we know that tan squared a cannot be -1 because square root of a negative value will not give us a real value. So this is the only solution. Now let's solve this. So we need to use the help of a CAS diagram. So a CAS diagram looks something like this. So that's theta, and that's 360 minus theta, and that's 180 plus theta, and this is 180 minus theta. Now tan is a positive value in this case, since you can consider 0 a positive value just for this case. So one of the solutions will be this and this one. So tan inverse 0 will give us a value of 0. This is the value. So theta itself was a solution, which is 0 degrees. And the other value is 180 plus 0, which is 180 degrees. So these two solutions both lie in this range. So that is the answer to part B. Now moving on to the next part. They have given us an equation which is cos x minus pi by 6. So that's cos x minus pi over 6 is equals to sine x. Now we need to solve this equation and the domain is given for x. We need to use a formula given on page 2, basically an expansion formula. So let's first expand this. So this will be cos x times cos pi over 6 plus sine x times sine pi over 6 is equals to sine x. So the value of cos pi over 6 is root over 3 divided by 2. So it's root over 3 divided by 2 cos x. And the value of sine pi over 6 is basically 1 over 2. So it's 1 over 2 sine x is equals to sine x. Now if we divide this whole equation by cos x, we will get root over 3 by 2 plus 1 over 2 tan x, since we know that tan x equals sin x divided by cos x, and the same goes for this part. Now if we make tan x the subject, we will get root over 3. Now we need to solve this equation. So first of all, we need the help of a Gauss diagram. So let's draw this. So that's theta, and this is 2 pi minus theta, and this is pi plus theta, and this is pi minus theta. So the first thing you need to do is that in your calculator, substitute this value, tan inverse root over 3. So if I substitute this, this gives me a value of pi divided by 3. Remember, this is not your solution, this is only the value of theta. This is called the basic angle. Now as you can see that tan is positive in this case, so which means we need to use these two quadrants. So theta itself is a solution, which is pi divided by 3. And the other solution is pi plus pi by 3, which is 4 pi by 3. Now the range they have given us is this one, from minus pi to 2 pi. So the value of 2 pi is around 6.283 and so on. The value of 4 pi by 3 is 4.1887. So this is in range. So in order to find out the next solution, we can add 2 pi to this value. So 2 pi plus pi by 3, which is not in range. In order to find out the previous solutions, we can subtract 2 pi from this value. So 2 pi minus 4 pi by 3, which gives us a value of 2 pi by 3. Oh, wait, not 2 pi by 3, 4 pi by 3 minus 2 pi, which gives us a value of negative 2 pi by 3. And if we subtract 2 pi from this solution, this gives us a value of negative 5 pi by 3, which is not in range. So these are the only 3 solutions. And that is the answer for question 8.
Are you still stuck in chapter 1? Well, your exams are racing closer. You have watched thousands of videos on YouTube, but your marks are not moving. It's not you, it's the method. Let's fix it. Welcome to Exam Essentials, where every second counts and every session hits. You have seen our question solving walkthroughs, right? Now it's time to go all in. We offer two signature courses for A level and O level students. The first one is the High Impact Crash Course, which is basically launched 5 to 6 months before every exam session. Whether it's May 26, October 26, or any future sessions, this course is your fast track to results. For the upcoming October 25 and the January 2026 sessions, our High Impact Crash Course will be starting from June 1. So book your seats as soon as possible. Now, the second course that we always offer is the complete 1 year course designed for students preparing for May 26, October 26, January 2027, and beyond. To know more, check the description box or message us directly on WhatsApp or on our Facebook page, Exam Essentials. Stop struggling, start scoring. You have seen us on YouTube. Now it's time the world sees you succeed. Your top grade is waiting. Let's go get it together.
Moving on to the next part of the question. we are given with a graph with equation this. So the equation of this graph is y squared equals x minus 1, and the equation of this line is given. Now let's make y the subject, so it will be easier for us. So this is y equals minus x divided by 2 plus 2. Now the region R bounded by the x-axis, I mean the region R is rotated through 360 about the x-axis. Now using algebraic integration, find the exact value of the volume of the solid generated. So first of all, let's find the x coordinate of the point of intersection. Now we know that at the point of intersection, the values of y will be the same. Basically, we just need to solve this simultaneously, solve these two equations. So let's substitute the second equation into the first equation. So it's minus x over 2 plus 2 whole squared is equals to x minus 1. So this will be x squared divided by 4 minus 2x plus 4 is equals to x minus 1. So this will give us a value of x squared divided by 4 minus 3x plus 5 equals 0. Now if we solve this equation using the quadratic formula, we will get uh, the value of x as 10, and the other value would be equals to 2. Now we need to determine which of the values of x is 2, or if this is 2 or 10. Now as you can see that this line this line goes up to this point and maybe intersects at this point. This will be the x equals 10 part. So the value of this will be x equals 2, and we also need to find out the value of this point, the value of x at this point. We know that at this point at x-axis the value of y is 0. So using this equation, if we substitute the value of y is 0, so this will be x equals 1. So this is 1. And we also need to find out the x coordinate of this point. So same goes for this. At this part, we know that the value of y is 0. So if we substitute y is 0 into this equation, so 0 plus x minus 4 equals 0, we get x equals 4. So at this point, the value of x is 4. Now let's first calculate the volume of this part. So let's assume that this is the volume of part 1. So we need to, using the formula for the volume, so there will be a pi present, and it's 1 to 2 y squared dx. The value of y squared, since we're integrating the curve, the value of y squared is x minus 1. So this is the volume of the first region. Now in order to find out the volume of the second region, there are two methods of solving this. As you can see that this becomes a cone, and you can calculate the volume of the cone using volume equals 1 over 3 pi r squared h. Or what you can do is that most people do not prefer this method. So what you can do is that you can integrate the line and find out the volume. So you can write it like this using the same equation: pi integrate from 2 to 4 y squared, the value of y is negative x over 2 plus 2 whole squared dx. So this is the overall volume of the region. So let's calculate this. So integration of x minus 1 will be x squared divided by 2 minus x from 1 to 2. And the integration, okay, so we cannot integrate this directly. We first need to expand this. So expanding this will give us x squared divided by 4 minus 2x plus 4 dx. Now we can integrate this. So let's first find out the value of this. First of all, we need to substitute the value of 2 into this expression. So that's 2 square, which is 4 divided by 2 minus 2. And then we need to subtract by substituting the value of 1. I mean the lower limit. So that's minus 1 divided by 2 plus 1. Now, if we integrate this, this will give us x cubed divided by 12 minus x squared plus 4x. So that's 2 and 4. So let's first calculate this value. So that will give us pi divided by 2. And let's substitute the value of 4 into this equation. So 4 cubed will give us 64. So that's 64 divided by 12 minus 4 squared plus 4 times 4, which is 16. And then we need to subtract by substituting the lower limit. So 2 cubed is 8. So 8 divided by 12 plus 4. 2 squared is 4 minus 4 times 2, which is 8. So let's calculate this value. So this gives us a value of 2 pi divided by 3. And if we add these two, it will give us 7 pi by 6. So 7 pi by 6 units cubed. So this is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the last question of the paper. We are given an equation of fx. Now first of all, we need to write fx in a perfect square form. So the equation of fx is 3 minus 4x minus 9x squared. So we cannot directly apply the formula for the perfect square because the coefficient of x squared is not 1. So the first thing we need to do that we need to take negative 9 as common. So we get x squared plus 4 divided by 9x. And if you want, you can also take negative 9 as common from this part, but this is not relevant. So you can keep this by the side. And then we can apply the formula for the perfect square, which is x plus 4 divided by 18 whole squared minus 4 divided by 18 whole squared plus 3. Now we just need to multiply the whole thing by negative 9. So 4 divided by 18 will give us 2 over 9. And the value of this is 4 over 9 plus 3. So if we simplify this, this will give us 31 over 9 minus 9 times x plus 2 over 9 whole squared. So this is the answer to your question. And then we need to find out the value of a, b, and c. So we know that the value of a is 31 over 9, and the value of b is, since there is a negative sign, so the value of b is positive 9, and the value of c is 2 over 9. So that's the answer to the first part of the question. And then we need to write down the maximum value of fx. Now, if a quadratic equation is in a perfect square form, the constant value by the side is basically the maximum or the minimum value of that equation. So we can say that if x minimum value is equals to 31 over 9. So that is the answer to part B. Now moving on to part C. The equation if x equals 0, this equals 0, has roots alpha and beta. Without solving the equation, okay, the very first thing we need to do when encountering this type of math, this type of sums, is that we first need to find out the sum of roots, which is alpha plus beta. So the value of alpha, wait, let me just write this down below. So the value of alpha plus beta, the formula for this is negative b over a. So b is this part and a is this one. So this will be negative 4 over 9. And the next thing we need to do is that we need to find the product of the roots, which is alpha times beta. The formula for this is c over a. The value of c is this and the value of a is this. So that's negative 1 over 3. Or you can say negative 3 over 9, which is equals to negative 1 over 3. And then move on to the question, which is we need to form a quadratic equation with integer coefficients, which has roots 3 alpha over beta and 3 beta over alpha. So first of all, we need to find out the sum of roots. So 3 alpha divided by beta plus 3 beta divided by alpha. So this is equals to 3 alpha squared plus 3 beta squared divided by alpha beta. If we take 3 as common, we get alpha squared plus beta squared. Now we do not know the value of alpha squared plus beta squared, but we can find it out using this formula. We can write alpha plus beta whole squared as alpha squared plus 2 alpha beta plus beta squared. If we make alpha squared plus beta squared the subject, we will get alpha plus beta whole squared minus 2 alpha beta. So we can replace this whole thing by alpha plus beta whole squared minus 2 alpha beta. So that's alpha plus beta whole squared minus 2 alpha beta. Now we know that the value of alpha plus beta is negative 4 over 9. So we can replace this with negative 4 over 9, and the value of alpha beta is negative 1 over 3. So it's negative 1 over 3. And this is also negative 1 over 3. So the sum of roots is negative 22. Now let's find out the product of roots. So the product of roots can be written like this: 3 alpha divided by beta times 3 beta divided by alpha. Okay, so there was a slight mistake in the calculation. This is not negative 22. This is negative 70 divided by 9. All right. Now calculating the product of roots, These two cancels out and these two also cancels out. So the final answer is 9. Now we know that in order to form a quadratic equation, the general equation is x squared minus sum of roots. So there are two minuses. So this will be plus 70 divided by 9 times x plus product of roots is equals to 0. And as you can see that this is not an integer. In the question, they have told us to find out the equation with integer coefficients. So we need to multiply this whole thing by 9. So that will give us 9x squared plus 70x plus 9 equals 0. So this is the answer to this question. Now moving on to the next part. The equation gx equals 0 has roots alpha square minus beta and beta squared minus alpha. Using your answer to part D, find in simplified exact form the value of Q and the value of R. So first of all, we can say that the sum of roots, which is alpha, which was alpha squared minus beta and beta squared minus alpha. So alpha squared minus beta plus beta squared minus alpha. This is equals to negative b over a. The value of b is q and the value of a is 3. So that's q divided by 3. Now if I rearrange this equation, this will be alpha squared plus beta squared, and if I take minus as common from both of these terms, this will be alpha plus beta is equals to negative q by 3. And we know that we can write alpha squared plus beta squared as alpha plus beta whole squared minus 2 alpha beta. Now the value of alpha plus beta is negative 4 over 9. So that's negative 4 over 9. And I can also replace this with negative 4 divided by 9. And the value of alpha beta is negative 1 over 3. So that's negative 1 over 3. Now we just need to solve for q. So the value of q is negative 106 divided by 27. So this is the value of q, and we also need to find out the value of r. So in order to find out the value of r, we can say that the product of roots, which is alpha squared minus beta multiplied by beta squared minus alpha, is equals to c divided by a. So the value of c is r and the value of a is 3. So this is r and this is 3. Now let's multiply this. So it's alpha squared and beta squared minus alpha cubed minus beta cubed plus alpha beta. And we can write this as alpha squared times beta squared plus alpha beta minus alpha cubed plus beta cubed. Now in order to find out the alpha cubed plus beta cubed value, we can write this as alpha plus beta whole cubed minus 3 times alpha beta multiplied by alpha plus beta. I have missed a part in the question, which I will do at the very end, and then you can understand where this term came from. And we can write this as alpha beta whole squared. So the value of alpha beta is negative 1 over 3, and this is also negative 1 over, oh wait, sorry. Okay, and we can also write this as negative 1 over 3, and the value of alpha plus beta is negative 4 over 9, and this is negative 1 over 3, and this is negative 4 divided by 9. Now we just need to solve for r. So the value of r is 226 divided by 243. So that is it for this question. And coming back to the part I have missed is this one, part D. So this was part E. Now let's come back to part D. We need to find out the expansion of x plus y whole cubed. So we can write x plus y whole cubed as x cubed plus 3x squared y plus 3xy squared plus y cubed. And if we take 3xy is common from both of these terms, we get x cubed plus y cubed plus 3xy times x plus y. Now, where did I find this specific term for alpha cube plus beta cube? Now, the thing is that if I make x cubed plus y cubed the subject, I will get x plus y whole cubed minus 3xy times x plus y. So this is where I found the equation for alpha cubed plus beta cubed. And that is it for this question. This was the last question of the paper. And I hope you guys found the video very helpful. And please support us by subscribing to the channel. And do not forget to leave a like and comment below if you have any confusion regarding the solutions of the questions. So that is it, and I will see you guys in the next video.